Over 5.1 million Americans now live abroad permanently. And that number? It jumped 39% in just the last 4 years. But one destination is quietly becoming the retirement capital for middle-class Americans who can't afford to retire in the U.S. anymore. If you've ever looked at your retirement savings and felt a knot in your stomach, this story might change everything. Meet Linda Hoffman. She's 67, retired elementary school teacher from San Diego. 42 years shaping young minds. And she had $340,000 saved for retirement. Sounds comfortable, right? Until you actually do the math. Her property tax in San Diego, $8,400 a year. Medicare supplement, $420 a month. And when she needed a root canal last spring, even with insurance, she paid $1,800 out of pocket. Linda ran the numbers 14 times. Different spreadsheets, different scenarios. Every version showed the same brutal truth. She'd be completely broke by 78. The American retirement dream had become a math problem she couldn't solve. And she's not alone. A recent Kiplinger study from 2024 found that 58% of baby boomers say they literally cannot afford to retire in the state where they work their entire life. Think about that. For decades of paying taxes, building communities, working yourself to the bone, and you're priced out of your own retirement. That's when Linda discovered a Facebook group that would completely rewrite her future. And it had nothing to do with the United States. Penang, Malaysia. Population 1.7 million. UNESCO World Heritage Site. And according to International Living's 2024 index, it just became the #1 retirement destination for Americans. Not Portugal, not Mexico, Malaysia. Here's what broke Linda's brain when she started researching. A modern 2-bedroom condo overlooking the ocean in Georgetown, $750 a month. A full-time housekeeper who comes 5 days a week, $400 a month. Private health care coverage, $60 a month. Linda stared at her screen, thinking someone made a typo with the decimal points. Meet Robert Chun. He's 71, former aerospace engineer from Los Angeles. Spent 35 years helping build Boeing jets. His retirement savings? $280,000. In California, with inflation, his modest nest egg would last maybe 12 years if he was careful. Maybe 15 if he never traveled, never ate out, never really lived. His financial advisor ran the Penang numbers and looked up from his calculator stunned. You could live 40-plus years on this same amount and leave something for your kids. World Bank data from 2023 shows Malaysia's cost of living is 63% lower than the United States. But here's the kicker. Their healthcare quality ranks in the top 20 globally. You're not sacrificing quality. You're just paying what things actually cost without the American markup. Robert told me something that still hits me. I spent 40 years building Boeing jets. Advanced engineering, 6-figure salary. And I couldn't afford to live near my own grandkids in retirement. Explain that math to me. But the cost savings? That's just the surface. The real reason Americans are flooding here is something the media won't talk about. It's something deeper, something about dignity. Imagine this. You wake up to 85-degree sunshine filtering through your balcony. The South China Sea is glittering in the distance. You walk 10 minutes to a hawker center, an open-air food court where $3 gets you chicken rice, fresh squeezed juice, and coffee. Your housekeeper, City, has already cleaned and is doing your laundry. You have a doctor's appointment at 2 p.m. No insurance calls, no surprise bills, no fighting with customer service. You'll pay $25 total, and the doctor will spend 45 minutes with you. This isn't a vacation fantasy. This is Tuesday. Meet Patricia Williams. She's 69. Black retired nurse from Oakland. Spent her career in the ICU, saving lives during 12-hour shifts that destroyed her back and her sleep patterns. She loved California, but after her husband died 4 years ago, something shifted. She felt invisible. Neighbors she'd known for 15 years barely spoke. Her social life became grocery store trips and church on Sunday. She'd watch TV alone most nights, wondering if this was really what she worked so hard for. In Georgetown, Penang, Patricia joined an expat cooking club where she learned to make proper laksa. She goes to a Tai Chi group every morning in a park where 70-year-olds move like water. She volunteers teaching English at a local community program. People here actually want to know your story, she tells me. Age isn't something you apologize for. It's not something you hide. I have friends from Malaysia, Australia, Japan, and England. I feel more alive here at 69 than I did in Oakland at 65. And there's science behind this. A Brigham Young University study from 2023 found that social isolation increases your mortality risk by 29%. That's equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Loneliness is literally killing American retirees. But let's talk numbers because Patricia's healthcare situation is borderline criminal. In Oakland, her Medicare supplement and secondary insurance cost $580 a month, plus a $2,500 annual deductible. One ER visit for chest pains cost her $3,400 after insurance. In Penang, she pays $720 a year total for premium private health coverage. When she thought she might need an MRI for her knee, she got one the same day. Cost $180. No referral needed. In Oakland, that would have taken 3 weeks and cost $2,000 minimum. Patricia's knee doctor in Penang trained at Johns Hopkins. Her cardiologist did his residency at Duke. These aren't knockoff physicians. They're world-class doctors who chose to practice where healthcare hasn't been turned into a financial extraction system. So why isn't everyone doing this? Because there's a dark side that real estate agents in Malaysia never mention. And Linda almost lost $40,000 in her first 6 months. Here's what went wrong. Malaysia's retirement visa program is called MM2H Malaysia, My Second Home. Sounds welcoming, right? But in 2021, they completely changed the rules. You now need to show $40,000 in liquid deposits in a Malaysian bank, plus proof of $4,000 monthly income. Thousands of retirees who were planning their move got caught completely off guard. Then there's currency risk. The Malaysian ringgit dropped 18% against the dollar between 2022 and 2023. If you converted all your savings to ringgit for better interest rates, you just lost nearly a fifth of your wealth in exchange rate fluctuation. Meet Donald Pierce. He's 73. Moved to Penang in 2022 with $320,000 saved. His local banker convinced him to convert everything to ringgit to get 3.5% interest rates instead of a 0.5% he was getting in the U.S. Sounded smart. When the ringgit crashed, Donald lost over $60,000 in dollar value. He couldn't afford to move back. He's stuck. And now he's working part-time teaching English online just to stabilize his finances. International financial planner Sarah Nguyen, a CFP I interviewed in 2024, told me something chilling. We see 3 out of 10 retirees make critical tax mistakes when moving abroad. They don't understand that FEI limits foreign earned income exclusion. They don't know their home state might still tax them. They have no idea Medicare doesn't work abroad. Wait, what? Yeah, Medicare does not cover you outside the United States. You're paying out of pocket or buying international insurance. When Linda learned this, she almost canceled everything. Imagine having a stroke 9,000 miles from your family, and your insurance company says not covered. That's not a theoretical risk. That's a reality you need to plan for. But Linda figured out a system that lets her have the best of both worlds. And the Americans who are thriving in Penang aren't just winging it. They're following Phase 1, test run. Don't sell your house. Don't burn your bridges. Rent in Penang for 6 months before committing to anything permanent. Linda kept her California apartment, found a tenant who sublet it for 18 months, and used that income to trial Penang. After rent, the test run cost her $200 a month net. $200 to test an entire lifestyle change. Phase 2, financial firewall. Keep 18 months of emergency funds in U.S. banks. Diversify your currency exposure 60% in dollars, 40% in ringgit. Never put all your eggs in one currency basket. The people who got burned? They went all in. Phase 3, healthcare hybrid. This is the genius move. Get routine care in Penang. $25 checkups. $80 dental cleanings. Blood work for $15. But for major procedures, surgery, cancer treatment, anything serious, fly back to the U.S. and use Medicare. Robert ran this exact calculation. Flying back to Los Angeles twice a year for medical care, including business class flights and a hotel for recovery, still cost him 40% less annually than U.S.-only health care. And he gets to see his grandkids during those trips. Patricia joined something called the Penang Expat Network, over 800 American retirees sharing doctor recommendations, tax accountants who specialize in expat returns, visa lawyers, even which hawker centers have the cleanest bathrooms. Community intelligence is everything. And there's data backing this up. Pew Research in 2024 found that retirees using geographic arbitrage, leveraging location to stretch money, report 34% higher life satisfaction than domestic retirees with similar nest eggs. It's not just about money. It's about what money buys: freedom, dignity, possibility. Linda's been in Penang for 22 months now. She travels to Europe twice a year on the savings, visits her grandkids every summer for 6 weeks. And here's the wildest part. Her retirement account is growing again for the first time in a decade, because she's not bleeding money just to exist. But let's talk about what the Instagram posts don't show. Because I promised you the truth, and the truth has rough edges. Language barriers are real. Outside the expat-heavy areas in Georgetown, English fluency drops fast. Linda hired a translator assistant for $15 a day for her first 3 months, just to help with banking, setting up utilities, dealing with landlords. It wasn't always smooth. Homesickness hits hard around months 4 to 6. Patricia told me she ugly cried on a video call with her daughter, missing her so much it physically hurt. Now she video calls every Sunday morning, which is 11 p.m. Saturday night in Malaysia. She doesn't miss a single call. The bureaucracy can be maddening. Malaysian paperwork makes the DMV look efficient, Robert joked. Getting a local driver's license took him 3 visits to government offices and a fixer fee of $50 just to navigate the system. But here's what shocked everyone. The food is so good, they stopped missing American restaurants. Linda's cholesterol dropped 30 points in a year. Not from trying, just from walking to hawker centers and eating fresh-cooked Malaysian meals with actual vegetables and spices instead of processed American food. Her doctor in San Diego called her asking what medication she started. She said, "I just started eating like a human instead of a consumer." And here's the emotional truth that's hard to say out loud. The hardest part of this move isn't the logistics. It's not the visa. It's not the language. It's admitting that America failed you. That the country you worked in for 40 years, paid taxes to, believed in, priced you out of dignity. That a grief you have to process. So who is this really for? Because it's not for everyone, and I'm going to be brutally honest about the profile. This works if you have retirement savings between $200,000 and $600,000. That's the sweet spot. Too much to qualify for full government assistance. Too little to retire comfortably in most U.S. cities. But in Penang, you need to be between 60 and 75. Young enough to adapt to a new culture and climate. Old enough to appreciate a slower pace and not need constant stimulation. Your family ties need to be flexible. If you need to see grandkids daily, this won't work. But if 2 to 4 visits a year feels reasonable, you're golden. Your health needs to be manageable. Linda has type 2 diabetes. She manages it fine in Penang. But if you need weekly specialist care or you're dealing with advanced illness, this gets complicated fast. Here's the counterpoint. If you absolutely need to be near grandkids daily, if you have serious ongoing health issues, if you can't handle heat and humidity, or if the idea of learning a new culture sounds exhausting, this isn't your answer. And that's completely okay. Not every solution fits every person. Some Americans are doing this snowbird version: 6 months in Penang, 6 months in the U.S. Best of both worlds. But it requires more logistical planning, and you need to be careful about tax residency rules. The U.S. State Department estimates over 12,000 Americans now officially live in Malaysia. But expat networks suggest it's closer to 20,000 because many people are living on tourist visas and doing visa runs every 90 days instead of committing to the full MM2H program. And here's what's wild. Penang's American expat population grew 127% from 2020 to 2024. Thailand is seeing similar spikes. Portugal, Mexico. This isn't a fringe movement anymore. This is a tidal shift. Robert told me something I can't stop thinking about. He said, I finally feel rich. Not because I have more money. I have less, actually, after converting and setting up. But my money finally has dignity again. It can do what it's supposed to do. Let me live, not just survive. So here's what I want to know, and I'm genuinely curious. If you could retire with ocean views, a full-time housekeeper, incredible food, and great health care for $2,500 a month total, but it meant leaving the U.S. permanently, would you do it? Or is staying near family worth struggling financially? There's no wrong answer here. I'm not judging either choice, but I'm curious where you personally draw that line. And if you've already done this, if you've moved abroad for retirement, whether it's Malaysia, Portugal, Thailand, Mexico, wherever, drop your location in the comments and your #1 surprise. Good or bad? Help someone else who's sitting where Linda was 2 years ago, staring at a spreadsheet that doesn't work, wondering if there's another way. Because something tells me that in 10 years, this won't be the extreme choice. It'll just be retirement.